This is the latest. Mali's military leader has just sacked the Prime Minister, Choguel Kokalla Maïga, and his government. It follows rare criticism by Maïga of the junta's lack of clarity about a once-promised return to democracy. A decree read on state television by junta leader Col Assimi Goïta said the duties of the Prime Minister and the members of the government were terminated. The junta had promised to hold elections and hand back power to civilians by March 2024, but subsequently postponed the vote. On Saturday, Maïga, while speaking to his supporters, criticized the lack of transparency in the running of the transition. The transition was supposed to end on 26 March 2024, but it has been postponed indefinitely, unilaterally, without debate within the government, he said. This is not normal in a government, he added, revealing that as Prime Minister he was not informed about the junta's decision to postpone elections. He also underscored the potential challenges and risks the current confusion surrounding the transition could pose for the country. Prior to his dismissal, there had been calls for Maïga to step down following his outrage against the military leaders. A pro-military group, the Collective for the Defense of the Military, on Sunday urged him to resign within 72 hours, describing his outburst as betrayal. But his dismissal comes as little surprise given signs of a rift within the ruling class for months. So, why did Goïta fire Choguel Maïga? The Prime Minister was a staunch supporter of the junta, often defending its decisions in the face of international criticism. But recently, Maïga did something unexpected. He openly criticized the military leaders for their lack of clarity about the transition to civilian rule. In June, Maïga openly endorsed a document by one of his supporters who had been arrested a month earlier for criticizing the military's prolonged stay in power. Maïga was appointed Prime Minister in 2021 by the junta leader, following a second coup against the transitional President Ban Dal. The 66-year-old has previously served as a minister on several occasions and ran 3 times as a presidential candidate. His departure from the government further raises uncertainty about the running of the transition and his future. There is speculation that he might morph into an opposition figure who could potentially challenge his former boss for the country's top job whenever elections are scheduled. There have been mixed reactions locally and regionally after his sacking, with supporters saying he should aim for the presidency while others see him as a traitor. The junta had popular support when it seized power 3 years ago. It followed huge demonstrations against former President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta amid complaints of corruption, economic uncertainty, and insecurity. Officially, Maïga's comments struck a nerve. For Goïta, who's built his rule on projecting strength and unity, this public dissent from his own prime minister was unacceptable. The junta quickly acted, announcing the dismissal in a decree read on state television. The decree didn't provide much detail. It simply stated that the duties of the prime minister and his government were terminated. But make no mistake, this move is about silencing dissent and tightening the junta's grip on power. Mali's challenges go far beyond political infighting. The country is battling a deadly insurgency by jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Vast areas of the country are ungovernable, with thousands killed and millions displaced. Mali has cut ties with France, its former colonial ruler and a key military ally, and has instead turned to Russia for support. This shift has raised eyebrows internationally, especially with reports of the notorious Wagner Group operating in Mali. The sacking of Choguel Maïga raises critical questions about Mali's future. Can the junta be trusted to transition to civilian rule? Or is Goïta following the playbook of many military leaders before him? Mali is already under heavy sanctions from ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, for delaying elections. But Goïta's latest move suggests he's willing to weather the criticism to maintain control. However, in a swift move following the dismissal of Choguel Kokalla Maïga, the junta wasted no time in appointing Major General Abdoulaye Maïga as Mali's new prime minister. Abdoulaye Maïga is no stranger to Mali's political landscape. A trusted ally of Colonel Assimi Goïta, he previously served as the junta's spokesperson and has been instrumental in defending its policies on both domestic and international platforms. But his appointment is yet another signal that the military has no intention of loosening its grip on power. When Choguel Kokalla Maïga was appointed prime minister, his role was to act as a bridge between the military junta and the civilian population. He was supposed to lend the junta a sense of legitimacy and reassure both Malians and the international community that a return to civilian rule was in the works. But with Abdoulaye Maïga taking the reins, it's clear the junta is doubling down on military control. This move effectively sidelines civilian influence, raising serious concerns about whether the promised transition to democracy is merely a facade. Abdoulaye Maïga is known for his loyalty to Colonel Goïta and his hardline stance on national sovereignty. During his time as the junta's spokesperson, he often defended controversial decisions, including the expulsion of French troops and the junta's partnership with Russia's Wagner Group. His rhetoric often paints the junta as the savior of Mali's sovereignty, blaming external actors for the country's challenges. Meanwhile, Mali's partnership with Russia continues to raise alarms in the West. Abdoulaye Maïga's leadership could deepen this alliance. The appointment of Abdoulaye Maïga as prime minister marks a critical turning point. Will the junta tighten its grip on power and risk greater instability, or will it honor its promise to the Malian people and the international community to transition to civilian rule? Despite the controversies surrounding Colonel Assimi Goïta and his military junta, it's important to acknowledge that his leadership has brought some achievements. These successes have helped solidify his support among segments of the Malian population. One of Goïta's most notable achievements has been his focus on strengthening Mali's security forces. The country has been in the grip of a jihadist insurgency for over a decade, with armed groups wreaking havoc across the Sahel region. Goïta's government has increased military spending, acquired new equipment, and launched several offensives to reclaim territory from insurgents. Another major achievement has been Goïta's bold stance against foreign interference. The decision to end Mali's long-standing military cooperation with France and expel French forces from the country was controversial, but resonated with many who viewed France's presence as a symbol of neo-colonialism. By pivoting away from France, Goïta has reshaped Mali's foreign policy, seeking partnerships that align more closely with the junta's vision. His outreach to Russia and engagement with the Wagner Group have provided Mali with alternative security support, though not without raising ethical and geopolitical concerns. Goïta's administration has emphasized the importance of national sovereignty at every turn. From his fiery speeches to his policy decisions, Goïta has framed his leadership as a stand against external meddling in Mali's affairs. This message has resonated with many Malians, especially those who feel their country has been exploited by external powers for decades. Beyond security and sovereignty, Goïta has also made strides in infrastructure and development. Under his leadership, the government has launched several projects aimed at improving access to education, healthcare, and basic infrastructure in rural areas. These initiatives are part of an effort to address the root causes of instability, such as poverty and lack of opportunities. These efforts, while still in the early stages, have brought hope to communities that have long felt neglected by previous governments. These achievements have earned Goïta significant support among certain segments of the population. His image as a strong, decisive leader has appealed to many Malians who see him as a protector of national pride and a builder of a more self-reliant Mali. He's doing what no leader before him has dared to do, some say. For them, Goïta's leadership represents a break from the status quo of corruption, inefficiency, and dependence on foreign powers. However, it's important to balance this narrative with reality. While Goïta's achievements are noteworthy, they have come at a cost. Critics argue that his focus on consolidating power has delayed the transition to democracy and strained relations with key international partners. The question remains, can Goïta sustain these successes while honoring his commitment to civilian rule? As Mali navigates this critical juncture, Goïta's achievements provide a foundation for progress. But the challenges ahead are immense. Balancing security, governance, and the return to democracy will require bold, inclusive leadership. Mali stands at a crossroads. Will the junta honor its commitment to democracy, or will it drag the country further into authoritarianism? The world is watching, but more importantly, Mali's 21 million citizens are demanding answers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.